we make so many excuses. Our mindset, our head is such a dangerous place. We make so many excuses. What's up, everybody? You have tuned into the Detox Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is episode number 17. And the title of today's episode is Stop Making Excuses. You know what? When I looked at this title and I was thinking and processing this episode, in my mind, I wanted to truly understand, I know why I make excuses sometimes, but get a general consensus of why people make excuses. So I did a little bit of research and I asked, what are the top 3 reasons why people make excuses? And those are the things that we are going to go over today. So top 3 reasons is the fear of failure, the lack of accountability, and being in a comfort zone. Those are the 3 top reasons why people make excuses. And I want to elaborate into each one of those. So let's just go ahead and get started with the fear of failure. We've all been in a situation where we didn't necessarily feel confident about moving forward through this situation. Right? I've been in situations where even this podcast, for instance, I've talked about this briefly before, but the only reason why I sat on this podcast for 2.5 years is I didn't know if it was going to be successful. Honestly, God gave me a vision, but I didn't know it was going to be successful. I still don't 100% know it's going to be successful. But what I do believe is when God gives you a vision that you have to seek out for more answers and you have to go after that vision as hard as you possibly can. But I was afraid to fail. I've never done a podcast before. What does this look like? Now I have to learn. I have to buy recording equipment. I made so many excuses in my head to not do the podcast for 2 years, 2.5 years. I made every excuse. I don't have the proper equipment. I knew I had some of the proper equipment. You can do a podcast on your phone. You can do a podcast without a fancy cameras or lights or a fancy microphone. But I had a microphone because I was doing music before. So I really didn't have true excuses. It boiled down to failure. I was scared to fail. There's been so many things in my life. I've been given opportunities that I was afraid to fail. I didn't know what the end result was going to be. But I'll tell you this much. Every time I have challenged myself and just stepped out in faith, I have learned something. I might not have been very successful. I've had tons of endeavors in my life that I've failed at, but I would never take the money that I spent. I would never take any of those back because I learned so much. Years ago, I launched this fitness brand called Fitness Heartbeat. I thought that I worked out since I was working out already. Let me just get pictures and videos of the meals I was doing, workouts I was doing, talk about my results, build fitness plans for people that I was going to be successful. And I didn't understand what business looked like. I didn't understand what building a brand looked like. I didn't stick with it. I didn't stick with it because initially I was not getting the feedback. I was not getting the followers that I was focused on. I was not getting the traction that I wanted. And it scared me. And I was just like, well, if I'm going to fail in the long term, why am I wasting all of this time? I was afraid of failing. I did another thing. I started a YouTube channel over the pandemic. And once again, I did some research. I learned a lot of things, but I didn't stick with it because I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to keep on pushing because I was getting like 2 or 3 views per video. My biggest viewed video was like 30, 40, 50 views. I was like, what is this? Like, I was afraid to fail. Why am I continuing to do this if I'm going to fail? But imagine 2.5 years later, if I would have been consistent and continued to push forward and learn and work on my craft instead of saying, I'm not going to continue because I'm going to put in all of this work and I'm going to fail. Failure and the fear of failure stops us from some of our most ambitious goals that God has placed in our heart. And doing this podcast, I told myself, no matter how long it takes, you keep pushing forward. On the days that you only get 3 likes per video and you know you've spent hours into it, if it's something that you enjoy, it's something that God placed on your heart, you are not going to fail. And I've had to pivot several times. I've had to look at myself several times. But at the end result is I am still here presenting content to you guys. And I'm not where I want to be. I'm far from where I want to be. But I'm not going to let that stop me. I am done being afraid to fail and making excuses because I'm scared of failure. That just segues right into my next topic, the lack of accountability. So many times we make excuses to avoid our responsibility. Have you made excuses in your life? Have you remember a time when you were a little kid and you took something, or you might have hit somebody, or you might have done something that wasn't in line with the way your parents taught you? And then your parents found out and they say, hey, you need to go apologize. Hey, you need to, for every action, there's a reaction. There's a consequence for everything that you do. The parents hold you accountable. I hold my son accountable for the way he speaks to his teacher, for the way he speaks to me, for the way he interacts and how he carries himself. I want to hold you accountable. But as we become an adult, because we are in charge of holding ourselves accountable, sometimes we make excuses because we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to clean that dirty mirror and take a fresh look in the mirror and say, you're the issue. You're the reason why you're not making the money that you want to make. You're the reason why you're out of shape, even though you know what to do to get into shape. You're the reason why your relationship with God has been strained. You're the reason why you haven't reached a level of success that you want to be, because there's no accountability. Let me stay up late, binge watching Netflix, and then miss my workout in the morning with my accountability partner, because you can't turn off that TV. You can't hold yourself accountable for the promises that you've made to yourself. We have to hold ourselves accountable in these circumstances that life presents to us. We make so many excuses. Our mindset, our head is such a dangerous place. We make so many excuses, and a lot of the excuses have no merit to them. A lot of these excuses have nothing to do with us moving forward. A lot of these excuses we just make just because we can, and that there's nobody else that's going to hold us accountable for what we do and what we say. Sometimes we are mean. Sometimes we are ugly to people because there's no accountability. Sometimes we speak to our kids negatively, or we speak to a friend or coworker negatively, or we react in a way because we know that when we get home, there's no one saying, listen, how you conducted yourself, I'm not happy. Even though God's watching all the time, sometimes we forget God is watching, and that there's no accountability to the things that we do in the dark, the things that we do behind closed doors. We don't hold ourselves accountable for. We make excuses to make ourselves feel better. I challenge you to stop making excuses. I'm still challenging myself to stop making excuses. I'm still challenging myself to be the very best version of myself that I can possibly be. I challenge you to stop making excuses. Take the initiative. Step forward. Look at yourself. How am I perceiving this conversation? How am I perceiving this situation? Am I looking at myself and trying to figure out what I can do to become better? Or am I making excuses? Well, they said this, so I reacted this way. They did this, so I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter how you were raised. It doesn't matter how your father or your mother was. It doesn't matter what your ex-girlfriend, your ex-husband, whoever it is did to you. Are you holding yourself accountable for where the direction of your life is going? Or are you going to make excuses? Stop making excuses. And I'm able to tell you this because I have to remind myself on a daily basis. It's not something where you hold yourself accountable one time and then it's done and you never have to deal with it again. It's a daily process. I have to hold myself accountable of my actions, of my thoughts, of the negative thoughts that might creep in my brain, of the thoughts that say, you know what, don't sit down and record that podcast because only 4 people are going to watch. I have to hold myself accountable for these negative thoughts. I have to hold myself accountable and stop making excuses and say, this is what you told yourself you were going to do. This is what you committed to. And you have to stop making excuses in order to get to where you want in your life, in order for those spiritual gifts to fully blossom into what you want them to be, what was promised to you. We have to stop making excuses. We have to get out of our comfort zone. We're so comfortable with laying around and watching TV. We're so comfortable in our own skin, in our cocoon. We're so comfortable with the little fake life that we have created in our mindset that doesn't push us forward, that doesn't push us to be the best version of ourselves. We're in a comfort zone because work is going well. I get paid. My bills are paid. You're in a relationship. Your kids are healthy. And then next thing you know, 5 years pass. 10 years pass and you wonder, where did this time go? Why didn't I follow my dreams? Why didn't I follow what I said I was going to do when I had energy? And you know, every year you get older, you lose a little bit of energy. What if you were in your 20s, in your teens, in your 20s, and you start crafting your mindset to always get out of that comfort zone? To push yourself to have those difficult conversations. What if we do that? What if we stop making excuses in our head and say, I'm going to meal prep because I have a goal for my body. I want to be healthier. I want to be able to get out and go running with my child. I'm going to learn a new instrument, and that means that I have to focus. I'm going to learn a new language, and that means I'm going to have to spend dedicated time every single day. I'm going to read a book a month. I have to change my mindset and get out of this comfort zone that I've been in so long. Let me tell you a secret. The world wants you to be comfortable. That's why it provides so much comfort, so much convenience. When you go to a gas station, you can run in and grab a couple of drinks or grab snacks or grab whatever that's not healthy for you. Every turn you make, there's a fast food joint. Oh, let me just stop by here and grab something to eat because I don't want to get home and I don't want to make dinner. I understand that sometimes it works for different people and it works for your situation. But if we get in a mindset and we become so comfortable, comfort starts the process of becoming lazy. Do you believe that? I believe it. I believe that comfort starts the process of becoming lazy. Because I'm so comfortable in where I'm at right now, I never push my brain and my mindset to be better, to be the better version, to be the better parent, to be the better servant of God. Comfort can distract us from our dreams, our goals. We have to get out of our comfort zone and stop making excuses because this bed is so warm. Get up. I know the bed is warm when it's wintertime. Get up. Get up. Start living the life that you want to live. Stop making excuses. Make your excuses bow down to you. I challenge you, when you wake up in the morning, make a checklist of everything that you want to get done in this day. And at the end of the evening, look at that checklist. Are you able to check off everything that you plan to get done, everything that you promise yourself to get done? Or did you sit up here and make excuses and let the fear set in and let no accountability set in and let the excuses and this comfort zone set in? I challenge you, one day, when you pop out of bed, make a checklist of what you want to accomplish for that day. And at the end of the night, reevaluate if you are making excuses or if you are checking every box off of that list to accomplish where you want to be in life. Stop making excuses. You are better. You are stronger. You are loved. You are bright. You are abundant. I'm sending my blessings and my love over to you. And I pray that everybody that watches this can stop making excuses and become who God created them to be. I thank you so much for joining me. I thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to this episode. Stop making excuses, and I guarantee your life will start to turn around. Your ambition and your drive will be revved up and ignited. And you're going to start accomplishing the things that you have set your mind and your heart out to accomplish. I promise you. But until next time, thank you so much for joining me. Peace.